We've wondered for a while what the next Nintendo Direct would be, and today the Big N came through with another Nindies Showcase, and we're here to talk all about it. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I've got Gabe here, and we just completed watching Nintendo's presentation on upcoming indie titles, and there was a lot of them. I wrote down all of the games and all of their release dates, and I think they're definitely double digits. If I look, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20 games, a nice 20.
And that's because they didn't include some of the stuff that they included in the trailer for this Nindies Showcase.
Correct. Yeah, we were missing Flipping Death. We didn't get any updates on Stardew Valley, things like Pocket Rumble and Wargroove. So if Nintendo is crushing it in their first-party development with titles like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, they are, I feel, equally crushing it in attracting and locking in indie developers. This is a really impressive lineup, and I feel like it is such a strength for the system.
Yeah, and we're going to run down through the list. It's a long list, so Zach, get us started.
First up, Super Meat Boy Forever. It's the sequel to Super Meat Boy, although it is done up in a bit of a different fashion. The art style is different, and this is a runner. So it is an auto runner as opposed to the more fine-tuned, controlled original Super Meat Boy. And in fact, Super Meat Boy Forever was teased and talked about previously and then kind of went dark. It's nice to know that it's coming out first on the Switch and should be hitting sometime in 2018.
I don't. They did call it a sequel, but I hesitate to really call it that because maybe Super Meat Boy 2 is still a thing at some point. That is still that finely tuned precision control that you had in the original. This seems like it's a runner, sort of. It's a cool runner. There's going to be difficulty to it, but I don't know that it's worthy of a Super Meat Boy 2 name. So I'm glad it's called something else.
Yes, and it's cool to get this. I mean, Super Meat Boy is one of my favorite indie games, and we do know that we're getting The End Is Nigh on Switch later this year, so that is much more traditional Super Meat Boy. So in a way, it's kind of, I guess, kind of the best of both worlds. You're going to get Meat Boy back in a new style with a new punch, and then you're also going to get The End Is Nigh for that more tried and true platformer action.
Speaking of tried and true platformer action, Zach, next one on the list.
Yeah, this game will never end, and that's a great thing for a lot of people because it is, again, one of the premier indie titles of the last decade. Shovel Knight is getting a new campaign, The King of Cards. It's coming in 2018, and they say that this will close out the Shovel Knight saga and be the final addition to that original indie darling.
Yes, but they do not. It's the end of Shovel Knight. Not Shovel Knight 2. Shovel Knight 2 is probably still going to happen at some point. It's just the end of the first game. This is
the end of this world, this whatever. But again, very cool. Shovel Knight, obviously a fantastic game. It's been on a lot of different Nintendo platforms. The treasure pack that launched with the Switch was excellent. Jake really loved that. So I'm sure this is going to be a fun and probably reasonably priced DLC addition to that. They went from there to something completely different. Mom Hid My Game, a late 2017 release that kind of looks like a I Spy, find stuff, escape the room type, point and click. Mom Hid My Game.
Yeah, where did Mom put the game, Zach? Tell us.
Yeah, there were definitely some very unique ones here, some more traditional ones, but this was possibly, well, wait till we get to good old Sausage Sports Clubs. But in the meantime, Mom Hid My Game was kind of a quirky one. And I love the fact that they did try to really merge, and you'll see this as the list progresses, a lot of different genres. And in the presentation, they specifically said, we want to cover a bunch of genres, and we really want to fill in all the gaps. And they tried to do that with a lot of these. One being Golf Story, which people have wanted for a while. It's an RPG golf game that also includes disc golf, drone flights, mini golf, and is reminiscent of some of the Game Boy Mario golf titles developed by Camelot that did incorporate a lot more of those RPG elements and were kind of eschewed from the recent Mario Sports 3DS title. This one is hitting in September, though, so finally something that's coming real immediately, and I'm actually very pumped for this.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for a little while. Not everybody knows this, but Zach actually likes golf.
I do.
In real life.
Golf. Yeah, I've been meaning to get new clubs for a while, so maybe Golf Story will be the motivator for that. But I think that looks good. It's one that people have been excited for, and good on them for getting a September date. Nothing here is coming out immediately. I was kind of hoping for a mic drop like, hey, it's available now, or because tomorrow's Thursday, available tomorrow in the eShop. Nothing there, but we do have some real great ones hitting in September, and the biggest of those is coming up soon. But first, Gabe, game of the show, Floor Kids.
You get to breakdance.
It has a really cool art style, and I figure it's going to play almost like Skate. I imagine it's going to be moves like that. It didn't seem to be, like DDR style where you're just like pressing buttons, like up, left, up, left. It seems like it's more like creating your own moves, and it said there was over like 150 moves, and you're getting scored on them, and it's competitive as well as solo. It's weird as heck, but it does look kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game. I'm not good at rhythm games. They're not a genre that I generally play a lot. So I mean, it could be cool to try it out, but I'm gonna leave this game for the floor kids. I'm not a floor kid.
I just like that term as well. Like, hey, you a floor kid? You want to be a floor kid?
I'm definitely not a floor kid. Let us know in the comments if you're a floor kid.
This one hits holiday 2017 from legendary indie designer John, which is a name for the ages, as well as a game for the ages. I legit looking forward to this one just because I think it's, again, so unique. I love that they've captured some real oddities here.
Yep.
Wolver Blade is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, more of a traditional title, more of an arcade beat-em-up, again hitting in September. This one was potentially, to me, the least interesting of all.
I could say something similar about Floor Kids. Like, I'm not interested in that. But Wolver Blade looks a little Game of Thrones-ish, sort of, in just the map that we saw in the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, this isn't one that got me excited in any way, but side-scrolling, beat 'em up, like it's not for me. Not in 2017, at least.
Yeah. As a small aside, like I do wonder how they choose. Like, how did Wolver Blade get in this showcase ahead of Flipping Death?
I don't know what's up with Flipping Death. Like, they're not ready to show it. Apparently, like they're not ready.
It was
to
in
talk
the. It was in the. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to get like a behind the scenes on how they choose the games that appear in their direct versus ones, because we are going to get games as we have throughout the year that are indie titles that are just announced on their own, right? Separate from any sort of Nintendo specific showcase, and it's just interesting how they choose to pick these. Next up is a port of Polybridge, which was a very well received builder trial type game. Looks really good. I never got a chance to play it on Steam, so I am looking forward to checking it out. It comes holiday 2017. Not as exciting as some of these other, original announcements, but another addition to the Switch library. And the same goes for Kentucky Route Zero TV edition, but I can't even believe this, but apparently it's including the final act that has never been released, episode 5, in early 2018.
Kentucky Route Zero has been coming out for a long time.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Again, one that I skipped over on the other releases. But it is cool that they finally got Act 5 wrapped up and that it's coming to Switch. It looks very pretty. Just to let you know, Act 1 came out January 2013. Act 2, May 2013. Act 3, May 2014. Act 4, July 2016. And now Act 5, early 2018.
Yeah. This was one that I remember thinking when it first came out, I'm going to wait till it's all out.
Well, you waited 5 years.
Yeah, and then I forgot about it.
Yikes. Hey, if it pans out, it would be cool to get the full story. I've heard that it has a really nice mystery, and I'm all about suspense-type storylines, so that could be cool. Early Atlantis was the next debuted title.
Atlantis.
Earth Atlantis, yes. Yeah. It's very early here in Atlantis. So Earth Atlantis coming fall 2017. Kind of like an old schooly shooter.
In water?
In water space? In the Earth of space?
Yeah.
The Earth water?
Well, Earth is predominantly water, but in this world,
that is true.
There's more water. And
it reminds me of there's a game called Luftrausers, which was fantastic.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me. They do say that it has a monster hunting gameplay style, and you will be hunting down large-scale enemies, upgrading and unlocking new weapons, abilities, and ships. So I don't know exactly what the monster hunting gameplay means, but if you are going to be looking for bosses and stuff, that could be pretty cool. It's a weird, steampunky creature machine hybrid that does look cool, so I'm pumped for that. Next up, Hero comes in early 2018, and this is from the team that did Scribblenauts and Locke's Quest, which is actually getting a re-release later this year. But yes, it's It's by Digital Continue, and I don't know, kind of just a top-down character action game.
Yeah, this is another one that I'm not into. I like Scribblenauts a lot. Like that had like a very cool like aesthetic style to it, and like the whole like, you get to come up with these letters and words to create things. So this doesn't have anything that like grabs you quite like that. So I mean, I suppose it could be cool. This is just one that I had like no real regards for when I saw it.
Yeah, there's some like community aspects. They say it's inspired by friends taking turn at arcades to beat really difficult games, and when you die, the next hero in line comes back as an AI companion. Or I'm sorry, when you die, the next hero in line can revive the past hero, and you have like echoes fighting by your side. It could be interesting, but to me, this looked like one of the more generic titles that was presented. So we will carry straight on to what I feel is the either the biggest or the second biggest.
It's second biggest. Maybe even third biggest, honestly.
I'm curious what you'd put at number 2. Meat Boy?
Kentucky.
Oh, okay. SteamWorld Dig 2. I freaking love image form games. I love SteamWorld Heist. I love the original SteamWorld Dig. I think they are fantastic developers. They have such a unique style, and I love that they have created a universe for all of their games to fit into. That continuity is really impressive. And SteamWorld Dig 2 has been touted as a big Switch time exclusive for a while, and it hits on September 21st. So that's great news. Basically 3 weeks away, and we're getting SteamWorld Dig 2. I know we'll be covering that one. Like I said, they do such quality work, and I'd love to see them bring a double pack of Heist and Dig 1 to Switch around the same time. And I do wonder if for some of these titles, we are getting developers that have past games, if they will maybe flesh out the eShop with maybe some of their older stuff ported in bundles.
Yeah, but then it takes away from from this one. If you put the SteamWorld combo pack out at the same time as World 2, some people might get that original, they might not get the new game, so I think we wait on that. Like that's what I would do with them. So.
Probably a smart idea, but like again, to me, this is the most exciting announcement. The fact that it is coming so soon. I know it's going to be playable at PAX West later this week. It was playable at Gamescom, and I am beyond pumped. I think it looks great, and they always have really solid gameplay, and the loop there of like digging down and then going back up. It's not a roguelite, but it has like that sort of always progressing, always advancing feel that I love.
More exciting than, that's why I was laughing, because I was like, it's a more exciting than something that like people have been waiting for years, right? In Act 5 of Kentucky Route Zero. Like I think like that's just a weirder story. Like SteamWorld Dig 2, I'm sure it'd be like amazing because they do like make like great stuff over there. It's just the fact that for Kentucky Route Zero, it's such an oddity that from 2013 to 2018 is when these things are being released. But off topic, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I would love to see, what percentage of people have made it through Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, all the way to Act 4 and Act 5. Let's see. We now have Mulaka, early 2018 title that looks very interesting. A really beautiful art style. Kind of like it almost looked like an open worldy combat driven action game that had just a really vivid color palette and a really cool art style.
Yes. The name was a little weird, but interesting looking game, interesting name. I am kind of interested in this one. Speaking of, so
yeah, it almost gave me like a little bit of like a Dark Soulsy combat vibe. I don't know if it'll be that intense, or maybe Zelda combat isn't more of a better Breath of the Wild combat. But it's a 3D world with puzzles, collecting, fighting,
and turning into animals.
Turning into animals, gotta love that. We kind of felt like this was a game specifically made for Jake.
Yeah.
And then one of the interesting twists about this is that it kind of they worked hand in hand with renowned anthropologists to capture the true essence of the Tarahumara culture in this game. So it is based on myths and stories and sort of legends from the Sierra Tarahumara people, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have Yono, which is October 12th, and it is Yono and the Celestial Elephants. It basically looks like Zelda with Trunks. And
yes. Well, not
hooves.
swimming trunks, just
No.
elephant trunks.
Wait, do elephants have hooves? No, they just have big feet, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
Big feet, trunks, and some amazing, celestial, angelic elephants that we all know and love. I honestly, like, this is one of the cooler looking ones, I think. And the fact that it's out soon, good.
No, the really cooler looking one. This next one, Zach.
Dragon Marked for Death. It's a old school style, side-scrolling co-op
RPG action.
RPG battler.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Like
This is definitely up your alley.
Yeah, it looks like a Super Nintendo game. Zach was very quick to point that out. I said, yes, that is why I think it looks awesome. Up to 4 players can play together. 2D action-based gameplay is something that I like quite a bit. So there's like different roles. Like there's like princess. Each character has different strength and abilities. Like there's all types of cool stuff in this game. So this personally for me is one I'm looking forward to the most. I don't think it's gonna be like the best. I still think like SteamWorld Dig and Kentucky Route Zero hold that crown. But this is one that, again, like you said, right up my alley, and I'm really looking forward to it. Winter 2017, I believe, is what they said.
Yeah, and that was something interesting as well, is like Nintendo like really utilizing all the different terminology for release windows. We've got fall 2017, holiday 2017, winter, late 2017, early 2018, 2018, specific dates like SteamWorld Dig on September 21st, like really wanted to use as much verbiage as possible to describe launch windows. Like, I guess winter could be late 2017 or early 2018, whereas holiday is like specifically November, December. Fall is more September, October. Like, very odd.
I think they left it up to the developer, and since there's so many developers, like they all just called it a different thing. Like someone like, oh, we're coming in the fall. Oh, we're coming in the winter. I mean, technically, doesn't it? I mean, not really. Not the same thing, but yeah.
Does Nintendo have a dictionary that defines these terms? Like, are there set dates? Like, hey, if you're gonna say winter, it's got to be between blah and blah, or is it just like whatever, winter? As long as there's snow somewhere in the world, we're happy.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm happy about Battle Chef Brigade. This game has been shown off at many a convention, and it is about cooking, making beautiful recipes, and then going and kicking butt, which sounds like something I will love. Holiday 2017, and interestingly enough, even though it has been revealed many times on multiple platforms, it is coming first to Switch, which is something that it feels like Nintendo is focusing a lot on here, and I don't know if they're utilizing their money or just their promotional abilities, but clearly, you know, like in this case, getting in with publisher Adult Swim and saying like, hey, we want to bring this to Switch first, very cool.
Yeah, probably a little bit of A and B, like a little bit of money, a little bit of influence, and some of the momentum on the Switch probably doesn't hurt. So,
yeah, so very cool. Next up, we have Morphy's Law. Ooh, this is where they specifically said we wanted to add a shooter to the Switch. Not sure this is the shooter everyone wanted, but you will be able to play this very odd game in the winter time. Basically, you are Morphies, which are these creature people that can change their mass. So as you shoot someone in the head, you gain a bigger head and they lose head mass, or if you shoot them in the legs, they lose leg mass and you gain leg mass, making you an easier target as you're more successful and a harder target as you're less successful, which, I don't know, like, typical shooter gameplay rewards successful players with kill streaks. It's not like you're like, oh, you died 5 times. Death streaks are a thing in some Call of Duty games, but I don't know about this. The goal of this here is 4-on-4, trying to get as much mass as possible to grow your massive Morphe avatar that's looming in the background. It's a little too different for me.
Yeah. We'll see. I think it's going to be hard for a game like this to like have a community, and that's where games like this like live and die. Like if there's no one around to play it, then there's no one going to be around to buy it. So,
and it's so hard with stuff like this. I mean, we've seen stuff like Lawbreakers be a pretty quality product and, you know, be dipping into the 300 numbers already in terms of concurrent players. So given all the indies, given all the physical games on Switch, will this be able to do anything? But hey, got to give them credit for at least trying and pushing something like that out there. I do hope we are able to get some more AAA shooters, for lack of a better term, on Switch, just so that genre can really be filled out. I don't feel like Morphe's Law is like, well, now the shooter genre is fulfilled on Switch, but hey, if you're interested, it hits in winter. Gabe, how could we forget about Sausage It's so beautiful. I can't even say it right.
Sausage.
Sausage Sports Club, but there are no sausages involved. Just floppy-necked animals.
Yeah.
Yikes! Who comes up with these things?
Yeah. A lot of game developers have some like very twisted minds.
I mean, in an era when like stuff like Gang Beasts and Mount Your Friends are very successful.
I was going to mention the Gang Beasts because it looks like almost exactly like it for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, different sports, goopy, floppy animals could be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun to like at least do like a couple Let's Plays on or something like that. Like I think it'll be some cool like local fun for you to try with your friends, I think.
Yeah, I mean, something that is going to really make certain of these indie announcements move up and down the list is their price. You know, we didn't get any prices today. I think SteamWorld Dig 2.
It's $20, yeah.
Yeah, but in general, like, you know, Sausage Sports Club, $5. You know, of course we're going to try it. Sausage Sports Club, $19.99. You know, that's going to be interesting to see how some of these titles like Mulaka, which looks like a far deeper experience than, say, Earth Atlantis, you know, how do they come in the price range? And I know that's something that has been of concern to people who are buying off the eShop, because some games do see a price hike. You know, The End Is Nigh, which we mentioned at the top of this video, that is one that oddly gets a price hike on the Switch. We've dealt with the Rime debacle, which still isn't out. But yes, that'll be interesting. Light Fingers, early 2018.
This is another
one. Littlefinger, but this is not Game of Thrones.
No, this is one of the cooler looking games. It's like a board game on the Switch. You can play in like tabletop mode, like they encourage that. 1 to 4 players. So this is one that, you know, the last couple of years, Zach, we all get together. We did Christmas at your house, and we played board games. So I can imagine this being something that can happen at the Drapula household for Christmas.
Yeah, I definitely think this one looks interesting. I'm hoping that it is more board gamey than like arena combat. I didn't really get a sense of like what exactly are you trying to accomplish here, but I do hope it is more board game-esque. There were cards, there were dice shown in the logo treatment, so I do hope that it does have more of a board game feel, and the fact that they emphasize placing it in tabletop mode and kind of everyone sitting around, that could be really cool. That's really great on iPad. There's even some dedicated devices that are kind of like portable electronic board game machines. So I think if Nintendo and Switch could embrace that a little bit, it could be super cool. So definitely going to keep our eyes on that one when it hits in early 2018, and hopefully it brings something really unique. Just 2 more here. 9 Parchments hits this fall. This one looks like a co-op, again, like a top-down co-op-y, Diablo-y, action-y, kind of generic gamey.
A lot of ease.
They called it a blast 'em up. It actually reminded me of Magica, if you remember that.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is
or
made
Trine, like kind of that art style look.
Yeah, well, it is made by Frozen Byte, so yes, that makes.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, it should look like those games.
There we go.
It looks really like cool, right? But I believe it was on Reddit. Some people were saying like, yeah, like the trailer looks cool, but like if you look more into like deeper gameplay, like it looks like it's maybe like not as deep or something. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen like any of the extended gameplay stuff myself, but we've heard of 9 Parchments for a little while now.
Yes, and look, Has Been Heroes was one of our most debated games on Switch ever. So the fact that Frozen Byte is coming back with something else, I'm very pumped. And I wanted to point out, just as like a fun fact, Has Been Heroes is up to a very positive, 82% very positive review rating on Steam, which that's crazy. So
I don't know. Is it like Has Been Heroes isn't like, yeah, 82 I guess is a little high, but it also doesn't like surprise me. Like
I'm excited that this is co-op, and it looks like there's some cool bosses. The art style is really interesting. Were always really beautiful games in that series, and Frozen Byte usually does good work. So even though this one has a generic name, it was kind of debuted as their final.
What 9? Wait, 9 Parchments is a generic name?
I think, to me, it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't strike me. To me, it sounds like some like knockoff JRPG.
I think No More Heroes is more generic. That doesn't matter, I guess. But
either way, we're looking forward to it, and it'll come out in the fall. Lastly, they come out with a Suda51 Grasshopper Manufacturer reveal, and this felt a little weird because you wouldn't typically peg this as part of a Nindies Direct. but they come out and they debut No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, hitting in 2018, which does not look to be a full-on No More Heroes 3, but more of a side story / interstitial game, almost like an indie downloadable No More Heroes that is going to mix in other indie games such as Hotline Miami and have Travis Touchdown be, I guess, getting sucked into 6 different games and defeating the bosses.
Yeah, they did mention collaboration with other indie developers, and we saw, on the screen of that game console. Did they say it was like a possessed game console?
Yeah,
they showed
demonic evil.
Yeah, they showed Hotline Miami, which is, I guess, fitting for that console. They showed No More Heroes, not No More Heroes. Hotline Miami as one of the games. And I'm not sure if you get to play a section of Hotline Miami, maybe like a level or two, like specifically made for this game. Who knows? Like, we don't have a ton of information. Prior to recording, we were talking about, hey, is this going to be like a full like 3D like No More Heroes type game, or is it going to be like little side stuff? And it might be a mixture of both. For all we know, we don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a super awesome announcement. We knew that Suda51 was working on something No More Heroes. That was revealed at the Switch reveal. And this is the first time we're getting any sort of update on that. It looked gorgeous. Unreal Engine 4. I do hope that the game does take place with that beautiful visual style. And I think it could go one of two ways. Either you get sucked in and are playing more like 2D mini games, because that is something that was incorporated heavily into No More Heroes in the past, or you get sucked in, but then it is this beautiful art style and just has the flair of Hotline Miami. You know what I mean? Like the visual aesthetic of Hotline Miami, but still in a 3D Travis Touchdown. I thought those boss battles were always fun, so I hope it is more in that style. And I love boss battles, so I do hope it's 3D, combat and combo driven boss battles, as opposed to like, play a level of Hotline Miami with a pixel Travis Touchdown.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But again, 6 collaborations. That's kind of cool. The fact that it is a Switch exclusive, that's super cool. And the fact that they are not, in the past, I feel like Nintendo has tried to lift up any type of exclusive or any type of partnership as like a major release. But the fact that they're dropping this in a Nindies spotlight tells me that, holy crap, they have so much more, right? Like in their actual Switch directs to focus on in terms of Metroid Prime 4 and in terms of more Mario Odyssey and in terms of Yoshi and Kirby and whatever else they have planned for 2018. The fact that this is like part of their Nindies, I kind of love that. Like, I kind of love that something this awesome is dropped alongside indie games.
Yeah, it is technically an indie. There's no like big funding for this, which is why I think it's not No More Heroes 3. If there was like a bunch of money, I think they would have just made like a full on sequel. So
and maybe it is one of those sort of tester titles that if it does really well, you'll get a full on one, and if it doesn't, you won't. But at the very least, we are getting more No More Heroes. We are getting it exclusively on Switch, and we are getting some of that Pseudo-51 Psychosis up in 2018. They did say later in 2018, so I think this one is probably farther off than the rest. Mm-hmm. But in closing, really big list of games and a really diverse list of games. You want to just give me a couple of your highlights and ones that you're most excited for?
Yes. I kind of feel like ashamed to say this, but I kind of like Pseudo-51 stuff. So, yeah, No More Heroes, like, even though like it's like a little like wacky and dark a lot of the times, that's definitely one. SteamWorld Dig, Dragon, Mark for Death is like the big one for me. And Kentucky Route Zero, I want to play that. So those.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to check out Kentucky Route Zero now that we are going to get the final story 4 years later. 5 years later, that's pretty darn cool when that hits early 2018. SteamWorld Dig 2 is definitely my number one, just because I love Image Form. Super pumped that that's coming out in 3 weeks. We'll definitely get you that as soon as we can. I think that Light Fingers has a chance to be really awesome. Again, bringing in that board game style could be really freaking cool. And I'm sure I will get some fun out of things like Super Meat Boy Forever and Earth Atlantis, just because I do like some more of those arcadey indie titles, especially portably. Great games that are a little bit beefier than something mobile, but not as time intensive as like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey. That can be really fun on the go. And of course, like No More Heroes, it's farther off, but I think that looks fantastic. And now that we have looked at them, I think Nine Parchments looks cool. I think Yono and the Celestial Elephants look cool. Mulaka looks cool. Like, to me, this was a very successful direct because they covered a wide swath of games, and very few were updates. Most of these, outside of SteamWorld Dig 2, and I guess the No More Heroes update, most of these are like new things, right? Either brand new things completely or brand new to Switch. And it's crazy that we still are waiting on things like Pocket Rumble and War Groove and Stardew Valley, and yet we just keep continuing to get this. And I think this speaks to the fact that Switch is doing so well. Indies are real excited to get on board, and hopefully we see this same mentality cross over to the third-party space as well.
Yeah, Worms WMD was also like announced, not during the showcase, but there was like a press email like sent after. So the indie support is definitely strong on the Switch.
Oh, absolutely. And just to play devil's advocate for a brief moment, I will say there could be some people disappointed that, like, hey, Yooka-Laylee, no show. Odd tweet from them about they missed the boat, didn't get anything ready for it, not sure what's happening there. Stardew Valley, no announcement, even though we know it was submitted for testing very recently. Flipping Death, a no-show. Celeste, from the makers of Towerfall, a no-show. Update on Towerfall release date, no-show. A lot of things that were initially debuted in the first Nindies. You could kind of look at this and say, well, great, thanks for announcing so much more, but what about the first one? I think I saw a list where about 20 games from that first Nindies week have released, but there still are plenty more that we've gotten very little on. So stuff like Enter the Gungeon, we know is coming soon, but when? That's one that I really would have loved a date for, because that game is getting a big expansion. Could be really freaking awesome on Switch, and again, a great fit. But yes, a lot of stuff coming. Let us know in the comments your favorite announcements from today. What games are you most excited for? What games kind of surprised you? And how do you feel about the Nindy scene on the Switch? Are you pumped to just get more and more announcements? Do you wish that they would slow things down and give us more sure release dates? How are you feeling about this in general, and what will the next direct be? That's kind of always the question that happens after these things complete. But I think it was a great show overall. I enjoyed it. A lot of cool games, and I'm sure we'll be covering most of them as they hit the system. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. For myself and Gabe, SwitchForce out.